Are we?
All night long, baby.
Okay, I think we should kind of turn towards each other. Like not be like facing like this. We should be facing like this.
And stare into each other's eyes?
Well, we can if we'd like.
Hey everybody, Space Marine Steve here, and Ian. All from Hyperspace Hobby. We're on the deck of Hyperspace Hobbies right now. This is the set is looking crisp, just like us. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. I always need a little boost.
A little boost.
Yeah, in this time of woe, with these gigantic Tyranid monsters
everywhere.
Coming out.
They're everywhere.
Holy.
I know. And so this is the pre-order has come, and the internet is now being flooded with people talking about, you know, the Norn Emissary and Ambassador, the new rules, the Nid decks is very soon, and Mike plays Nids.
Yes.
So like Mike is another member of Hyperspace here. He comes and he talks with us sometimes, and I'm afraid for playing Mike.
He's already pre-ordered one.
He's already pre-ordered one.
We're gonna be up against this thing pretty quick.
Quick here. So what we're gonna do is we are going to talk about the Norn Emissary and the Norn Ambassador, kind of give our like reactions to its rules, and then just kind of we're gonna start the conversation of how to deal with this.
Yeah, how much of a problem is this gonna be?
Exactly, right? Yeah. Like, it might not be a problem. We don't know, right? Like we have to get a better understanding of it. We have to talk about it a little bit. We need to see it in action.
And even that, it's gonna take a couple games for your opponent to learn how to use it properly, and by then you might have figured out a way to try to counter it. And every army has a counter to this thing already.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, how tactful are these?
Yeah.
Nids players going to be with these things.
Exactly.
And are we ever going to see 3 of them on a tabletop?
Well, I don't know. Right? I mean, technically, we could see 6.
Yeah, I guess with the Ambassador and the Emissary.
Yeah, you could have 6 of them if you really wanted to. But so let's talk. I think we're going to divide the video into 2 sections. First, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the Norn Emissary. So that's the one with all the brains like poking out of it.
The psychic one.
The psychic one. And then we're going to talk about the Norn Ambassador. We're going to have our own reactions to the rules. And then we're going to talk about the rules for a little bit.
Yeah.
And we're kind of going to just give our initial thoughts on it.
Yeah.
So here we go. Norn Emissary. Do you want me to read it out?
Go ahead.
All right. So you just let this wash over you.
Yes, like a psychic barrier.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so stat line.
Okay.
It moves 10 inches.
Okay. That's faster than most Tyranids.
It's like the size of this knight. Yeah. It moves 10 inches. It's big.
Most Tyranids move 8. Most of the big bugs move 8.
Most of the big bugs move 8, yeah. It's got toughness 11.
Okay, that's pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's a little less tough than these Land Raiders here.
Toughness-wise, yeah.
Toughness-wise. It does have a 2-up save, though.
Okay.
So it's hardy.
Yikes.
Right? The Norn Emissary has got a 4-up invulnerable save.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's pretty quite. It's quite something. 16 wounds, same as a Land Raider. Leadership 7 though. And then it's got an OC of 5.
OC 5, okay.
OC 5. So it's holding on to most objectives.
So like comparable to a lot of, because you know I play demons a lot of the big demon kind of monsters, it's kind of on par with a bunch of the stat lines for that stuff.
Yeah, the thing's
2-up save though
is big.
Yeah, 2-up save with a 4-up info is going to be tough to chew through.
Yeah, it's got a thick hide to it.
Yeah.
I think that it's got a really solid defense, especially with that invulnerable save. That means that like if you're hitting it with high AP weapons, like if your answer to this thing is Melta, right? Like it goes, well, I have a 4-up invul, so good luck.
Yeah.
And then additionally, so its last line of defense is it has a 4-up feel no pain against mortal wounds.
Oh, okay. Oh, wicked.
Yeah, that's really, really good.
That's great.
So it's tough.
Yeah.
It's very tough.
It's fast.
It's fast.
But maybe the gigantic base on it, maybe they realize, because I know this is a problem with demons, I'll bring up demons all the time. Like some of the bases are too big and you can't properly move around the battlefield.
Yeah.
Like the Nurgle base is so massive that you can barely move them anywhere.
Yeah.
So maybe they're trying to balance that out a little bit by going like, okay, well, let's give it some more movement because the base is large and it's going to have to wheel around the terrain setup. It's going to be a bit of a pain. So maybe just they're giving it speed to try to offset the rules balancing for terrain and stuff like that.
Totally. And it doesn't have fly.
It doesn't have fly,
right? So it can't hop over like buildings and walls and stuff like that.
And it's not a character.
No, it is not. So it's a psyker. It does have synapse, so it's going to be helping you control through synapse. However, it is not a character, no. So you can't you can't huck like enhancements and stuff like that on it, which I think is actually a really good thing.
Yeah, I think that's smart.
Yeah. So let's...
Anything like this, you put enhancements on them that aren't like, that are designed for the, you could put it on anything in the army, and then you do it for this. Like all the demon, again, demons. All the demon enhancements are like, put this on a greater demon or nothing.
Yeah. Where
this one, all the new Tyranid rules, they'd be like, they're enhancements you could put on any of your characters, and then like, putting on this might make it absurd.
Yeah, exactly. And I like that they didn't do that.
Yeah.
Additionally, so for its weapons, this one actually does have like shooting attacks. So it's something called a Psychic Tendril. It's a shooting, and you kind of choose one. It's got like a bunch of profiles onto it.
Okay.
The range of like basically all of its profiles are 18.
Oh, that's pretty tight.
It's tight. It's a really tight range. And here I'm just going to toss up. I'm going to toss up its profile. Here you go.
Yep.
So the thing is it's kind of got like, you know, it's got a blast version. It's got a more like concentrated beam version, right? It even has a Melta version, right? So you've got options in its shooting profile here.
Because it's a bit of an all-comers when it comes to its shooting profile.
It's a bit of an all-comers, which I think is nice.
The shooting profile doesn't look really all that impressive.
No, I agree with you. It's not that impressive. It's not... I don't think this model is, or this unit in general, is really here for us to kind of ooh and ah about its shooting profile.
Right. It's its durability and its special rules that make it kind of kick it over the top.
And let's go into those special rules, because the special rules, I think...
Well, we've covered the shooting, and it's good that it is an all-comer shooting. What's its combat?
Oh, right, yeah, okay. Let's talk about the combat quickly. So it gets 6 attacks. It's got weapon skill 2 up, which is really good.
Yep.
Strength 9, which is respectable, like as a respectable in 10th edition. AP 2, damage 3. So it's got big claws.
It's not. That's not that crazy.
No,
I figured it would be a lot more than that. I figured the strength on it would just be something absurd,
like 15 or 16.
Yeah. I figured that. But I mean, it is limited.
But
it's just a big bug.
This thing just wounds rhinos on 4s.
Yeah.
Like the math says this thing doesn't kill a rhino.
Right. But maybe if you neural lance a rhino beforehand.
Right, yes, and then you charge in.
And then you charge in. So maybe they're just trying to account that it
has
an all-comers shooting attack. And it has a lot of attacks. I mean, it's got 10 attacks.
Yeah, because then it also has extra attacks. So then what takes place, it takes an extra 4 attacks, weapon skill 2, strength 7, AP 2, 2 damage.
Right.
Pretty good. But again, like, I feel like looking at this profile, it's like, wow, this is going to shred intercessors.
Right.
Yeah. Or like... Yeah. And then you're like, cool. Yeah. Congratulations. What doesn't shred intercessors, right?
Well, it's got that last little special rule.
Yeah, okay. So it's special rules. You choose one of these at the start of the game. So you kind of get to the game, you assess your opponent, you look at the battlefield, and then you make a choice on what you think you're going to need. And so the first one is you get to pick an objective. And if it's within range of the objective, it has a 5-up feel no pain, which is really strong. Right. And it also goes to OC 15.
OC 15,
which is
that is
woo!
That is really good.
Really angry.
And I also saw that there was an enhancement that you could give a Tyranid character that was like +3 to its OC. So you could have some really high OC monsters running around. Like if this thing goes to 15 and then you have a high tyrant with +3 to its OC,
it goes OC
it actually starts becoming like a big problem that these monsters are durable and can really crush objectives.
Yeah, which is really good. So,
very cool.
You know, I look at that and it's pretty good. The other one, you pick an enemy unit and it gets like full rerolls, hits, and wounds against that one unit.
That makes it way better. That makes it shooting attacks and close combat really quite phenomenal.
It does, but only against that one thing.
Yeah, but still, like, yeah.
Right? Like, the thing that I hate about rules like this is that, and especially on a model like this, so like unlike...
And it's choose at the start of the game, too.
Yeah, which means that your opponent actually has control.
Yeah.
Right? So you choose at the start of the game and you go, okay, yeah, that's the one I'm going to go. And it's almost like when your opponent signals you for secondaries and goes like, I'm going to choose assassination.
Right.
And then you get to go, okay, by all means. Then I'm going to take my characters and I'm going to put them over here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to kind of, I get to dictate how this model or this unit or your game plan goes. Like with this, if they choose whatever unit it is and you're like, yeah, I'm going to reroll hits and wounds against it, Okay, I can play around that.
That even works for the picking the objective option too, because if someone goes, start of the game, I'm choosing that objective, and you go, well, I wonder where this thing's going to go.
Exactly,
Right?
right?
It kind of betrays your game plan because you're laying all your cards out right at the start.
Yeah.
That being said, it's very tough.
It's very tough.
It's very tanky. Its shooting and its close combat are really quite good.
And if that rule ever actually turns on and you get a 5-up feel no pain and OC-15 sitting on the frickin' objective, like, yeah, okay. Like, so how, looking at it, what is your, give me a quick overall assessment. Like, what do you think about it? Maybe we'll, like, let's rate this thing like 1 to 5. 1 being like competitively pitiful and 5 being like meta defining.
I don't think it's meta defining, no. I think it's probably I would give it a 4 out of 5 because I feel like it can catch a lot of people off guard, even though it is just telling everybody exactly what it's doing right at the start. It still is hard to shift. A 2-up save with 16 wounds and a 4-up invone, that's going to be hard to shift.
That's good.
And the movement of 10 means that you can potentially get onto that objective early. I know also Tyranid have a whole bunch of other little things that they could do to modify their beasties, like with venom thropes and some like stratagems and stuff to make them extra tough.
Yeah.
So it might be easier to get on that objective because you can kind of abuse some other things that Tyranid have. But I don't think it's going to define the meta. If it shot more, if it shot maybe let's say twice as much as it did, then I might be concerned about it defining the meta, but currently I think it's a solid pick. And like, I mean, OC-15, all you got to do is just park it on that objective, and if your opponent can't deal with it, if you just look at your opponent's list and they go, they're not going to be able to deal with this, and you just park it on that objective, you got that objective all game. Like OC-15 is going to be really difficult to shift.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I actually don't rate it as high as you.
No.
It is good. However, competitively, I think I actually rate it more into like, I give this thing like a 2.5.
Okay.
Right? Maybe a 3, maybe a 2. This is the first time I'm really digesting all of the rules for it. But so here's why I think it sits a little on the lower end. This point, the point cost on it, 285 right now.
Yes.
Like, we have no clue what GW will do with the points. It doesn't matter because like points, as long as this remains reasonably costed, not either overcosted or undercosted, as long as it doesn't go undercosted,
right? Really,
like this will probably hover in the 260 to 300 range.
Yep.
And I think that at 285 right now, and if it hovers around there, that is such a big percentage of your army that I don't think actually pulls that kind of weight. And yes, if you choose the objective one, which in my opinion is the one you always pick.
Yeah, I kind of am leaning that way too. Just on the off chance that like you run by the objective and get the 5-up feel no pain for a turn.
Sick, yeah.
Like, even that, right?
Even that. Or if your opponent's sitting on it and then this thing comes up, takes it away, they deny primary for a turn, and then you run away and do something else, sure.
Yeah.
However, this thing only goes beast mode sitting on that one objective. And it's only wildly durable on this one objective. Yeah. And it's only very good at holding one objective. And so
the feel no pain versus mortal wounds is also really strong.
It's great. However, like we said before, like it tells your opponent what it's going to do.
Yeah.
It is either going to headhunt one thing, or it's going to go and sit on this one objective. And how I would deal with that as a Space Marine player would be something like, well, either it's going to go for this objective, and then I Oath of Moment it and try and kill it,
yep.
right? Or I could like hoard up to this objective and make it so it can never get there, right? Because it's got to fight its way through like 5-man squad after 5-man squad after 5-man squad and never get there until turn 5.
Just road bump it.
Road bump it, right? Because it can't fly, and so it's not going to move while it moves fairly quick, 10 inches is not, it's not 18 inches, it's not a bike, right? Or you just, let the baby have its bottle.
Yeah.
And you just go, oh, you want that objective? Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll win with the other objectives. The thing with the objective game in 10th is that oftentimes you get 5 points per objective, and sometimes it's capped at 10 or 15. There's 6 objectives on the board. I only need 2 of them. If you want to put 300 points on that objective with an 18-inch shooting range, yeah, okay. I'm gonna go play the game over there.
Well, that might be its like genius distraction as it moves up, and then you go, well, I don't really care about that objective. And then as soon as it moves off that objective, I mean, moving 10 and being able to charge means it's probably going to touch another objective if it gets a half decent move through and charge and the rest of that.
Yeah.
It might be able to move up, kind of flex on that objective. You then realize that you might not be able to take it. It then blitzes off that objective, and some small Griblies take that objective back, and it kind of moves forward. It might kind of just be a jumping point for it.
Could be, yeah.
Because really, I wouldn't 100% really sink my teeth into the OC15 thing. It's that 5-up feel no pain. That's what I like.
Yeah, that's the jazz.
So just using an objective as like, just have this thing run up, tag the objective on its way to your opponent to try to give it some extra wounds once it does get there. Like try to save it from taking some heavy damage on its way to your opponent.
So I agree. I think that, you know, it does have use, but you know, I think you said it, like, this is not meta defining.
Yeah, you don't rate it too high.
I don't rate it too high. I think there are better choices. I would almost rather have 2 monsters that are like 140 points each, right? Than 1 280 point beat stick that tells your opponent what it's good at.
Right.
Right. But you know what?
We've talked enough about Emissary.
Let's talk about the Ambassador a little bit, because the Ambassador is different. Even though they look very similar, they are different. So let's chat it out, okay?
Yep.
Alrighty, so Ian, hit me with the Assimilator.
Okay, the Assimilator is more expensive. Okay. But remember, we don't really care about points, because once this thing hits the table, it's going to get balanced, and we'll figure it out. But it's coming in at 305.
I love it.
Yeah, which is pretty pricey. Its stat line is the exact same as the Emissary, except for the fact that it does not have a 4-up invulnerable save and no feel, no pain versus mortal wound. So it feels a little bit softer, but I think some of its other little tricks might kind of offset the fact that it's probably going to get into combat more frequently. Still with the move of 10, which is great. Sorry?
So it doesn't have any invul?
No invuln save.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. But its weapons are quite different, so let's go into the weapons.
Okay, yeah, okay. Hit me with it,
Okay. It has a Toxin Jector Harpoon with the special rule, Harpooned. It's a range of 12, it's 2 attacks, BS2, strength 12, -3 AP, D6, +1. So it's shooting a really, really strong shooting attack.
Whoa.
But I mean, this is kind of comparable to the Lance. Also, it's only 12, but I'll get into why I think it's 12. Anyways, after the bearer is shot with this weapon, select an enemy, monster, or vehicle that was hit by those attacks until the end of the turn. Each time a bearer selects that unit as a target of a charge, add 2 to the charge roll. So I feel like it's only range 12. Yeah. I feel like this thing, like coming in from the sidelines, and tagging a monster or vehicle and then getting a 7-inch charge as opposed to a 9-inch charge.
Yeah.
It's probably the better play.
Yeah.
And it also saves it getting shot on the first turn or potentially even the second turn. Though you're playing the game 305 points down. Still, it has that special rule where you pick an objective and it can get a 5-up feel no pain and OC15. Apparently it's got that same rule.
Okay.
And you can pick an enemy objective for full reroll hits and wounds. Now, so this one benefits more from the full rerolls on hits and wounds, because if you are risking a charge from the sidelines, getting into combat, let's say it's a Land Raider and someone puts it next to on the side, and you get that harpooned rule, you get that plus that bonus charge distance. And then you re-roll all your hits in combat. Its combat is a little bit different, not too different. It's just got the same 6 attacks at weapon skill 2, strength 9, AP 2, damage 3. But then its other attacks are a little bit different. It's got it's got 4 attacks, weapon skill 2, strength 12. AP -3, damage D6 +1.
Oh,
so if that rolls into pretty much any monster or vehicle,
you'll kill it.
it's gonna trash it. So I feel like its damage output is a lot higher, whereas the other one is durability and a little bit of functionality, and its shooting attack being longer and one of those like kind of all-comer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that. All right.
And then Harpoon Barbs, once per turn, one enemy unit takes D6 mortal wounds when they fall back from this guy. So if you're in there, you hate where you're at, and you try to fall back, it kind of like pulls bits off of you with D6, which could be great.
Yeah, it could be really good.
Yeah. The reason why it's good is because if you do get a charge, looks like you're probably killing what you're in combat with if it is a monster or vehicle.
Yeah.
And then you can consolidate into something else. They're almost certainly going to want to fall back, and then boom, you hit him with some D6.
Really good.
Mortal wounds, yeah. But he's 305 points. It's a big price tag for this one.
It's so expensive.
Yeah.
It's so expensive, Ian.
It really is.
All right. Can I give my assessment on this thing first?
I'd love it.
I think this is worse than the other one. I think this is considerably worse. Looking at it, like, I really hate big beat stick units. Like, whenever I build lists, most of the time I will try and spread out my like army's capabilities to like, multiple, maybe minorly effective units, but I would so much rather, spread the love, right?
Yeah.
Where when I look at something like this and it's 300 points, it gives my opponent this huge target. This thing doesn't even have an invul save. Like,
Yeah.
It
does have a 2-up though, so that's
cool.
I mean, that's
but,
really good.
What the hell doesn't have a 2-up? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it just seems like it has a 2-up. Great, I've got like multi-meltas with Oath of Moment, and this thing just goes like.
It
just
gets
melts,
rocked. Yeah,
right?
it just gets rocked. For it being 305 points, it's a big pill to swallow for.
It's tough, right?
No invuln save.
So if I were to give this, 1 being competitively pitiful and 5 being meta defining, my initial reaction of this. Now, I've looked at the detachments a little bit in this codex. I've thought about lists here and there that I might see with it, but personally, like, I think there are definitely better choices. And
well, like
I would give this thing a 2 out of 5.
Yeah, I think I'd rate this one lower. I'd probably put it at a 3. The thing with like you could take this in the Crusher Stampede, but it's already hitting on 2s anyways.
Yeah, like, who cares?
So once it gets damaged a little bit,
Yeah,
it's not
who
getting
cares?
a bonus until it reaches below half.
Yeah. If you're playing Crusher Stampede, I would just rather have 2 150-point bugs.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's almost like in every instance, I think, all right, I'm going to take the Norn Assimilator. And then I think to myself, no, I'm going to take 2 of something that do something similar.
Right.
Right? Because then I can at least be in 2 places at once.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? I feel like this is the kind of model and this is the kind of unit that you roll up to a table at a tournament and the guy on the other side is like, whoa, a Norn Assimilator. And you're like, cool, like, is this your first tournament? They're like, yeah, this guy's going to rock butt. Because they won't know how to play against that big model that just kicks everything's butts, right?
Countering it the first game you play, it might be
tough.
It might take a second.
Right, it might take a second. But if you come up against a very skilled player that knows their way around like these kind of like centerpiece models, right? I don't think this thing is getting to the places it needs to get to do the damage it needs to do to be worth 305.
Well, that's why I was saying like potentially outflanking it or doing some type of shenanigans. I'm not sure what the new codex. I haven't completely absorbed the new codex. There might be some sneaky stuff that they can do. That's why I feel like with the harpooned rule, getting +2 to your charge is.
But then you just screen. Like if someone can just screen it out and it's not getting like if this thing gets road bumped by just like even 2 turns.
Yeah.
Like let's say, so it moves 10 inches in the first turn, probably not charging. And then someone screens properly, it charges, kills the screen.
Yep.
And then that means that they've been shooting it 2 to 3 rounds before it actually gets to where it needs to go.
Yeah, that's it. That's the Assimilator's problem, is it is fantastic at killing machines and other monsters.
Oh, this thing has no chance.
Yeah, it's just not good at flak units.
No.
Like in the shooting phase, it's going to kill 2.
Yep.
And then in combat, it's going to trash whatever it gets into combat with. But
that's assuming.
But by then, the speed bump's already happened.
It's already happened. the game, the real enemy of the game is time.
Yes.
Right? And so, like, given 15 turns, maybe the Norn Assimilator can do what it needs to do, but given a 5-turn clock, right, and your opponent's speed bumping it, I don't know. Also, too, like, you know, if this thing runs into a 20-man squad of Orc boys, it's going to take at least 2 turns to fight its way out.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Like,
oh, yeah, no, it would not do well in that scenario.
And then you're like, and then it does, like, what is it? Once per enemy Tyranid takes D6 mortal wounds and they fall back?
If they fall back.
Just don't fall back. Yeah. Fight it.
Yeah.
Just fight it.
Just glue it. Yeah.
Yeah, just fight it. Like, it's nothing crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, we are a bit speculating. We don't know all the things.
No, we don't. No,
but
we don't.
Just at a glance, that's kind of our opinions on these two. Strong if they're where they want to be, but potentially predictable in where they want to be. Like you can see these guys coming
a mile away.
A mile away,
right?
Yeah.
But you know what? Don't just go by what we say. You have your own thoughts about it. You've seen the material now. You know what's going on. Throw your opinion of the Norn Assimilator down in the comment section, and let us know what you think. Let's talk some 40k with the people out there. Right?
Yeah. Like which one do you think you would fare better against or worse against?
Oh yeah. Let's say, like, what one are you more afraid of?
Yeah, for sure.
Right? The Assimilator or the Emissary? Throw it down in the comment section, and of course, give us a like, a share. Please subscribe. It helps us build the audience base and just talk more 40k, which is exactly what we want to do.
Awesome.
So, from all of us here at Hyperspace Hobbies, this is my friend
Ian.
And I am, of course, Space Marine Steve. And, of course, Carrie right back there.
Yep.
And we are wishing you great games, good times. Have a good night. Bye.